For decades, Microsoft has been at the center of the technology world. Since our childhood, most of us have been either direct or indirect users. With 100 plus major products, 600 plus cloud services, billions of users, and the legacy of experience in developing software, Microsoft has earned the brand of trust in the hearts of its users. Microsoft's cloud journey began with Bing, Windows Server, and cloud products like Outlook. However, things took pace in 2008 with the launch of Windows Azure. This marked the entry of Microsoft into the cloud computing market. With the acquisition of LinkedIn in 2016 and GitHub in 2018, Microsoft's cloud empire became the largest. This strengthened further with time thanks to the experience and trust that Microsoft earned in the previous decade. The steps taken by Satya Nadella after becoming the CEO in 2014 paved a new way to the company's cloud business. This gave fruits in long run when combined with the experience and trust, which is visible from the company's revenue growth in the cloud business. Quarterly revenue of Microsoft's Intelligent Cloud segment comprises of Azure, Windows SQL Server, Visual Studio, and GitHub when compared to Amazon, which is limited to Amazon Web Services as its only major cloud business, and the same being true for Google. This was a big change for a company which at one point was focused mostly on developing operating systems like OS/2, Windows 3.0, Office, and other end-user applications a decade ago. High growth in the cloud business is largely driven by Intelligent Cloud segment, which comprises of renting infrastructure services on Azure, network-based operating systems on Windows Server, high-performance SQL servers, Visual Studio, GitHub, and client access libraries. Intelligent Cloud segment also includes enterprise services and consulting. Out of these, Azure makes the most revenue. However, initially things weren't pleasant. For more than 3 decades, Microsoft was focused on developing applications like operating system and end-user applications that were independent of cloud. Things began to change by the early 21st century. Adoption of internet opened newer possibilities for businesses in tech, and with time, internet bandwidths improved and software developers started deploying applications on a server. Buying and maintaining servers were costly, hence most small and mid-cap companies looked for rented servers as they were cost efficient. Back in 2006, Amazon took notice of internet developments and initiated the cloud business, renting server infrastructure as a service under the name of Amazon Web Services or AWS. AWS gathered a large market, but a good number of users wanted to run Microsoft's product. This led Amazon to approach Microsoft, asking to rent its products, and a deal was finalized with Microsoft to receive rent at the end of a month. With each month, Microsoft received more rental money, and even though Amazon did not disclose any figures, it was clear in Microsoft's mind that the demand for cloud was getting stronger. At that time, Microsoft was going through the ill-fated results of Windows Vista. Seeing the opportunity of cloud, Microsoft decided to step in. Teams working on building cloud tools for internal employees were now creating new cloud products for its users. Impressed with the initial work, Bill Gates decided to take this public, even with a few glitches. With this, Microsoft entered the cloud computing business with Windows Azure in 2008, renting server infrastructure at an affordable cost. In the beginning, things were not smooth and software issues were common. Sign-ups were tough and some features were not working properly. A good amount of effort went into making things right, and Azure was relaunched in 2013 with infrastructure services similar to that of AWS. Efforts of engineers and management bore fruits, and the relaunch proved worthy. Global market share of Azure grew from 9% in 2016 to 20% in 2021, with over 120,000 users signing up on Azure every month. This made Azure a formidable competitor of AWS, which has 33% of cloud market in 2021. The rise of Microsoft's cloud business is largely driven by the growth of Azure. Further, renaming Windows Azure to Azure made it an independent business. The teams behind Azure aim to keep the user experience similar to that in the latest Windows offerings. This will provide a seamless migration from traditional localized computing to cloud, something like Microsoft learned from the decades of experience. Accordingly, user interfaces were designed in order to make everything comfortable to existing non-cloud users. This worked quite well, and even the most conservative non-cloud users found migrating to Azure simpler and easier than other platforms. Microsoft has been the primary software manufacturer for most users, and using this to their advantage gave them an edge. The first incremental steps were to upgrade existing Microsoft ecosystem, such as Active Directory or Dynamics, to the Azure cloud. This gave Microsoft an entry point that its rivals did not have. Providing Azure Platform as a service helped developers to build their applications thereon, test, and go straight into deployment than writing code on a computer. Various teams, including those internal to Microsoft, are already using Visual Studio on Azure for remote software development. Companies using Microsoft products on local machines found Azure as the only viable solution to choose when they switched to cloud computing to handle high workloads. Choosing a cloud provider other than Azure will require them to retrain their employees. This turns out to be true when we see the company's usage chart of 2020. Most companies use AWS and Azure as preferred cloud providers, with AWS maintaining the lead as an advantage of being early in the cloud market. Providing a centralized cloud service does not address the requirements from every industry. Many companies have significant on-premise investments that they want to utilize. Hence, choosing to modernize on-premise or local data centers is their primary need. This gets more important when applications belong to fields like finance, security, or IoT that have low latency challenges. To address modern requirements like these, Microsoft launched Azure Stack in 2017, allowing users to get Azure-like experience in on-premise or local computing hardware. Azure Stack addressed the issues that cloud users were facing in general. This gave companies the flexibility to choose and distribute their cloud services over local and actual cloud hardware based on their requirements. Low latency and high speed computing tasks were now achievable since most of the infrastructure was localized. Using a centralized cloud in these situations will slow down work and increase the chance of failures. Further, a good number of users from healthcare and government departments require to follow data privacy and regulatory laws, for which they have to keep data in a localized compute systems. Multi-cloud, or simply more than one cloud platforms integrated together, has strong demands in recent times, and according to a survey, more than 46% of companies will actively use hybrid and multi-cloud architectures in near future. Releasing Azure Stack in 2021 allowed companies to view a unified list of workloads across multiple platforms, making them easier to manage, scale, and distribute their deployments. Supporting hybrid and multi-cloud deployment models by launching Azure Stack and Azure Arc helped Azure to reach new heights. This opened a new field of cloud development models, which will shine in the coming decades. Dedicated Azure offerings were helpful to internal teams of Microsoft as well. Large acquisitions like LinkedIn and GitHub benefited internally from deployments with Azure, helping them with proper support and in turn a learning platform for Azure in future cloud developments. Acquisition of GitHub in 2018 was a strategic move towards expanding the cloud business. Over 3,000 companies use GitHub as a daily repository for maintaining code. Continuous integration and deployment has strong integrations with Azure, resulting in an indirect high usage of Azure services. Many organizations use Azure-powered GitHub Actions, which led to strong growth of the cloud platform. Microsoft Teams and Windows Virtual Desktop found larger use in remote work and in learning, aided by the effect of the pandemic. These became daily tools of hybrid teams to connect and work remotely. Educational institutions like Stanfordshire University in England chose Azure for deploying education programs designed for students. Inherent familiarity with Microsoft products was one of their main reasons for choosing Azure over other providers. Free credits for students to learn, practice, and build on Azure made them get familiarized with the platform. These worked as sowing seeds early, which later bore fruits. Winning government contracts worth billions of dollars in defense, security, intelligence, and virtual reality acted as bonus points. With the vision of decentralized computing, supporting hybrid and multi-cloud models by launching Azure Arc, strong integrations with GitHub, and deep roots in software industry, Microsoft has a cloud business model that is strong, reliable, and healthy.